Good morning and welcome to the Northern Territory in the Black Indigenous Business Resilience Program. Today is about putting a spotlight on our really deadly Northern Territory Indigenous businesses and the incredible work that they're doing. But first, let me start by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the land upon which we are talking today. I'm on Gimoy Wallabura Yidinji country in Cairns, far north Queensland. But I acknowledge all First Nations people, our elders, past, present and emerging, and extend my respects to you, your family, and wherever you are today. But we welcome you today. We're really excited about our speaker today, Lenore Dembski from the Paperbark Woman. Lenore's business is really interesting because it's so multifaceted, you know, with so many different things that she does, which is really exciting because sometimes we think business should be a certain way, but then other times business can be so many things. So my sister, thank you so much for joining us today. We welcome you.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, thank you. Now, Lenore, I'd love for you to share a bit about yourself first, because that's so important and really respectful for us as mob, that we acknowledge and we respect each other. So tell us a little bit about yourself and then share about your business.
Thank you. And first, let me start off with acknowledging that we're on Larrakia country here in Darwin, and to give my respects to the elders past and present and the emerging Larrakia people. And I'm Kungarakan on my mother's side. So Kungarakan, our country is Adelaide River, Batchelor, Litchfield Park, Darwin River, all around there. And Kungarakan people, we're known as Paperbark people. So that's where the Paperbark Woman is in my name. And on my dad's side, from Iwatja language group from up at Coburg Peninsula way. But we grew up, and I spent my first 2.5 years on Kungarakan country, living at Adelaide River, and then moved to Darwin. And but we do a lot of activities still to do with Kungarakan country. But I was born in Darwin, and then we went down there straight away. But and so I did all my schooling in Darwin, and through primary school, high school, and one of the things that I did is I went straight out of high school. I finished on the Friday, and I did matric, but I only got 2 subjects. That was like 45 years ago, and started work in the government on the Monday. So
wow.
I was pretty lucky, and I'm 65, but now I've got to work till 65, 66 before I could go old age pension. Yeah. And I've been married for 46 years, and my husband. He's 70. Wow. And so I spent a lot of my years in the government, in and out of the government, mainly the Commonwealth and then the state government, Northern Territory government. And then my husband got really sick in 97. And so I quit the government and I started my first business then. Well, I didn't actually start my first business. I've been running my business now for about 50 years, making clothes and selling items and that sort of stuff for a long time. But I set up my first really regular retail outlet in 1997. And so is that the sort of thing you want me to go through?
Yeah, no, too good, sister. Yeah. And I think the thing as well is, you showing your age and your husband and your health, it just shows that our lives have so many things as well happening. And we just push on as people, and we're also defying the odds because, we've been told we live to a certain age.
Well, that's right. And my father, he died at 55, and he had 13 sisters, half sisters and 4 sisters, and 2 of them survived above 55. And but my mother's side, her father is a Dutchman, and he lived to 96, and her mother lived to 76, full-blood Aboriginal lady, and my mum's still alive, but she's in a nursing home with dementia, and she's turns 89 soon. And so all of our family have thought, us 4 kids, well, we've got a half-brother who's reached 75, but my brother Tom Calmer and my sister Babette and my sister Rhonda, we all thought, well, are we going to live past 55? So we've tried to, and we've all got there. My brother's 67, he was in December, and then I turned 65 in February, and my middle sister Bobette turned 64 in August, and my younger sister Rhonda turned 60 in August. So we've managed to survive. I don't have kids, so I've been able to dedicate myself to help out the family in different ways. And one of the biggest things that I believe in is keeping the culture alive. And so even though I might not necessarily get down in the country as often as I want to, I do things that can support my younger sister. So my younger sister, Rhonda, she knows so much about country and stories, because when she used to hang around, all the elders used to tell her stuff. And so she's, I believe, I call her our elder. She has the knowledge and she knows all the country and is the main person doing that, and language. And so I try to, in my business, I've supported all the grandkids. I don't have kids, but I have 9 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren.
Yeah, deadly.
So basically what I try to do is have a business that can support family. My motto is, you can make money, but don't forget family and all the other stuff, because like when you die, like my hubby and I, what happens to anything. So, what I thought, I'm not going to be like a lot of non-Indigenous people, and that's not a slur or anything, where they save all the money up and when they die, the kids get it. I'm using any of my resources and our money to help them now in their lives, so they develop and go through. And when we both die, my hubby and I, there won't be that much money to spend. There'll be a bit, but it's about and this is proper Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander culture. We look after our kids, our family, everybody else, but we still can get and do business, and that's one of the biggest things that I think of. And so that's what drives my business. And I do get a lot of flack from people, including family, saying, well, you should just be making money and thinking about yourself. Why aren't you charging for this? Why? I say, you know what? I'm a philanthropist, but with my time and my knowledge. And so I share things with people. And yes, I could charge, but you get a lot of strength by helping others, I think. And so that's what I try to do. That's the philosophy around my business. I still want to make money, of course. And now, because my husband had a stroke 4 years ago, I had to quit the government. And so now I've been having to balance all that money more and debate, do I try and go back into a government or a full-time job, or do I try and balance things and do other activities? And that's why I've used the 43 years that I've learned in the government. You learn wonderful things in government, both whatever you do from the beginning all the way through. I'm using that to help my business and help other people.
That's fantastic.
That's behind my business and how I like to operate it and that. But that shouldn't put anyone off who was there to make money and they want to do things themselves. We all are different. So some people will be driven by that, and our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander will be driven by that, and there's nothing wrong with that. What you have to do in business is decide, which way am I going to go, and how am I going to start out, and do I want to start out this way and then maneuver around, and what do you want to do? So I think being in business, the most important thing is working out what you want to do as a business person. And I'm a sole trader because I don't want anyone else telling me what to do. I'm a sole trader, but other people want to be in, they want to be in partnership with others, and there's nothing wrong with that. But most important thing in business, work out what you want. And even though you might maneuver and go around because of different obstacles, try and keep in line with what you want, and then you'll enjoy it more, and nothing will feel like hard work.
That's some incredible words of wisdom. I love what you said, because sometimes we don't think of that, because, as Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, we do give of our time, we do give of our resources, we do give of our knowledge. But I love what you said, we're philanthropists. We're philanthropists of our time and our knowledge, and that is so true. So true. I really love that. That's amazing.
Look at our organisations. How many of our organisations, our legal centres, our medical centres, caring for country, all of that, we do that as associations. And and I always find it I smile a bit, because you have all these volunteer awards and everything, but that's what we do all the time.
That's right.
We volunteer everything, and so I think that is our culture. and that is a wonderful part of our culture, and we should continue with that if we can, you
Yes.
know, and understand that and work on those. And one of the things about that's how you can, you know, grow your business and work it out. And some people might want to start out as a sole trader and then go on to, you know, partnerships with someone. But what I always say when people come to me, I do a lot of, you call it mentoring, but I just call it chatting really with people. And we talk about what way do you want to go in business.
Yes.
And so some people want to be partnerships, others want to be, you know, in an organisation, and that's okay. But work it out, and don't be afraid to change if you want to as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Very wise words of wisdom there. So, you know, reading your business profile sounds absolutely amazing, and we've heard of the incredible things that you do as well, from the ground, and, you know, the things you specialise around your gifts and your clothing. Tell us about that, you know, all the things, because it is very multi-layered.
Thank you. Well, I started sewing when I was about 13. I started to design clothes and sew for people when I was 13. And when I moved to Adelaide for a few years to be with my husband's family, I went and I approached different shops and said, oh, this is what I can sew. And I showed them, can I sew for you? And so I did all different things down there. And I did that for a few years. And so with me, because I learnt young, I learnt from my mum when I was about 6 sewing. I don't even need to see you. If I have your measurements, proper measurements, I can make your clothes. I can draft everything myself from scratch. And because I've been doing it like for 55 years, sort of thing, you know, so you can do all this sort of stuff. So what I started off doing when my business on the side, I started sewing for people and, you know, curtains. I did a whole lot of range of things. And then one of the big things that really changed my mind on which way to go was when I was Director of Aboriginal Development Unit in the Northern Territory Government, and I was the director for 7 years, and we looked after employment training and community development and economic development for Aboriginal people across the Northern Territory. And at the time, we were very lucky because the government ended up giving us, you know, grant money, and so we had like just under $1 million we used to give out. And I used to see all different sorts of work, like road work, building and construction, mining. So we did all different things. And then I said, let's do an emphasis on 2 years of on each of the different industries, whether it's cattle or whatever like that. And I used to see these wonderful textiles that different communities in the Northern Territory, like Beamaware and Tiwi Designs and Gilakari, and not Gilakari, that's an organisation, Gilamara. And I used to say they should be on the because a sewer, they should be on the catwalks of Paris. This is the sort of stuff that people should be getting huge amounts of money for. And so we started to do it, and very few people used to do glamorous work. So that's when I started to push a whole lot of things and get people to do more clothes in glamour and all that. Because I can do lingerie, menswear, swimwear. I can do everything, right? Yeah. And so that's when I started that journey. And then when I left the government, because my husband was suicidal, and so I quit the government in 97 and I set up my first shop. And so that's when I started to promote stuff locally. And that's where we had the lady who ran the Sydney Olympics, and she said to me, have a fashion parade at the Sydney International Media Centre. And I said, I'll only do it if I can invite all our.
Oh, we've just had Lenore drop out there. That's what happens sometimes with our telecommunications, but I'm sure we'll get her back on in just a second. Here she is.
Oh, yeah, because it's not, I don't think it was at my end. So, yeah. But anyway, so we showed off 350 items from around Australia. And so that's where we started to get people much more interested in textiles and fashion. So when I set up my shop, the first thing I did was I had introduced Aboriginal fabrics to one of the main fabric maker in Australia, MS Textiles, and they used to only do mainstream stuff, and I introduced them to Aboriginal fabrics in about 95, and then I introduced them when I was down in Melbourne. And the Aboriginal mob down there, I was talking to them, they said, oh, there's this lady who wants to put her artwork on fabrics. And so she drove 3 hours and came in to see me. I'm just giving you a bit of the history of how it goes. And then she wanted to, so B, her name is, and I then introduced her to Shan, and she became his first Aboriginal artist.
Wow.
She goes on, and she's still doing it today, 25 years later. And so when I was president of Legal Aid from 88 to 94, we did all the copyright cases. And so we changed copyright law in Australia. And so so what I did is I've really pushed to have Aboriginal fabrics. So my first shop had about 129 Aboriginal fabrics, which we put into things, and we just made them into all different things for people. So then what happens is, so I did that in 1997. And then when we had to do all the modelling stuff, I set up my business called Paperbark Models, because I didn't know what to call it. And all the granddaughter said, Anissa said, well, we might as well call ourselves Paperbark Models. So I said, so that registered that. So that's how Paperbark Models started as a business. And so we used to do modelling stuff, and I still do it, and for film and stuff like that. But I don't do it as much. And then people started to need to know how to write grant applications, because a lot of our mob don't know how to do stuff like that. And that's not being negative. It's just that I was in government for so long, we learned how to do all the administrative stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And I've done half a business degree, and then I stopped because I was so busy I was chair of Yili Riang under ATSIC, and I was, Director of Aboriginal Development Unit. I was president of Aboriginal Legal Aid, and I couldn't do a lot of stuff. So after 10 units, I dropped out of that. But I did the most basic accounting and other types of courses. So then I registered Paperbark Management, so that we could actually go through and put on events and do a whole lot of other things like that, and write grant applications for organisations and everything. And then when in about 2004, the NT government was putting out the tender for Aboriginal employment and career development. So I registered Paperbark HR, and but I didn't win the tender, but I've continued to do that. So I was the Director of Aboriginal Development, because we looked after education and training, and we did we trained about 3,000 people over the 7 years, and that I went and got the minimum TAFE teaching requirement at the time, so that people knock Aboriginal people a lot, and so I thought, can't knock me now, I've got the minimum TAFE teaching requirement. That in 95, and so that's why I formalised all my adult education experience then. And so that's how Paperbark HR started, and so we do training courses. So I've evolved the business, and so don't be afraid, I say to other business people, to evolve as you go, and but make sure you do what you're doing for the reason that you want to do it.
Yes.
The other thing that I really want to, I've got a mixture of missions, but that's how we are today. And so then in 2004, because my sister was running my business, my sister Bobette, SARS came along, Ansett collapsed, bird flu, 9/11, it was terrible. It's like now.
Yeah.
And so I said to her, oh, look, I'll give you a year, go and get another job, and I'm going to close the shop. And she got a job like 2 weeks later. So I just kept it going, and then I closed it. So I did all the sewing and that from home.
Yeah.
Okay? So I continued the business, but not as a retail outlet. I did it at stalls or whatever like that in between. So when I was when my husband had the stroke, I had to quit the government again, I already had everything set up. So I was able to reset up the shop within a month. So I found a place. So if you're going to have a shop front, it's always expensive on streets, but if you're starting out and you really want to get people to understand, like my first shop, do it on a main street. But after that, if you have a product that people want to follow, then you don't have to be on the main street paying out heaps of money for rent. So I found a place, hadn't been rented for 5 years, and then I did it up to suit me, So that's something to think about when you're going into business. You need to look at your cash flow, and don't always look at the number one business premises. Don't have to be in shopping centres. With your product, if you advertise it through our media and like the Radio Larrakia, Australian broadcasting now, that, you know, they're happy to listen to people. So we've got our own media stations everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
So Aboriginal Mob should look at that through SBS, you know, through our Indigenous television and all that sort of stuff. And so we need to look at those sort of things as well.
Yeah.
You need to ask me anything before I go on to my little list?
No, it's just so interesting because, you know, and that's the amazing thing about us as a people. We've there's so much, and you've got so much wisdom that you're sharing, and your wisdom is about your business, but you're also sharing from your heart, which is what we do. Right. You know, it's from spirit to spirit. So definitely, it's really deadly. Yeah, too deadly.
Thank you. I'll just quickly go on because I know it's time, and everyone, I really appreciate all the people that are watching this live and they're going to go back onto Facebook and look at it because, you know, it's hard for anyone to set aside time. So I do appreciate them listening to me. So I'm trying to, so I got a lot of notes here to make sure.
Yes.
Okay. So one of the things is networking, like what we're doing today. It's really, really a key. Because you know what, when you're networking, apart from telling people about your business, you're finding contacts, and then you find business is about finding things that people like and suit. And so one of the things about the networking is you don't know who you're going to talk to and what you're going to learn from that. So that's really important to look at the networking side. And as a non-Indigenous consultant, Bill Nichols always said to me when we ran negotiation skills courses, you know, it's easy to negotiate with someone you know and you understand how they're doing. So it's better to learn and know and understand lots of people and meet them, because if you have to go into heavy negotiations with them over money, over resources, over anything, you need to look at that. One of the things that I wanted to say that is really important, and I've done lots of free courses. So look around wherever there's free courses. That's advice that people gave to me. Attend as many free courses as you can, and look at books and read different books. And I always like books with the really big writing because I'm dyslexic and I have real trouble. So do that. But, you know, when you're looking at, so do lots of research. One of the things that I put down here is, and I'm not doing things in particular order, so I'm sorry if some of you might like to do things strategically in order. I'm sorry, you're just going to have to mind map around the place and do things. You know, one of the things that I've found, I'm a real computer person. I did it at high school 44 years ago, and I used to pull computers to pieces and show people and run training courses, but got caught out a couple of times. Back up your computers. At home, I got caught out the last week of the financial year. A surge came through, ruined my whole computer. At work here in March this year, I'd backed up in December, but I lost all my emails in March. Wow. So, you know, it is really important. I have lots of stuff on little USBs and I do backups. So even I forget, and I'm a backup person. And keep your insurances up to date. That's really, really important, because just like with houses and fires and things like that, business is the same. You need to have workers' comp insurance for your staff. You need to have business insurance for your buildings and glass and public liability. Make sure they're always up to date. So find a good insurance broker or someone. That's really, really important. If you're thinking about employing people and that, look at the awards. You know, they're easy to follow on the Fair Workers on the thing, but you know, make sure that you pay people the right amounts. Make sure that you keep the times going, because even though they might be your friend, you know, like you don't know what's going to happen in the future. Friends turn around to be enemies. So I keep when I'm doing my wages, I print out like the old wages books.
Yeah, right.
My Excel, and my staff have to do it. It has to put the hours in and everything. Even though they're family, a lot of them, they're not always family, but they have to keep the times. And I've got my notebooks from 1997. So I've got all the wages. I keep all that, but I also have them on spreadsheet, and then I put them onto MyOp. Yeah. So I've got things, because when I travel, I still have to pay staff. So, you know, I have them so I can do that. So that's really important to make sure you understand that, and what awards that there exist. And like the retail awards, and retail covers a lot of stuff. but know that in January the wages are going up, so that you know you budget for it and you go through. I've got here about copyright. A lot of people ask me to, I've got this fantastic dress. Can you just copy it for me? I said no, because it's against copyright, because that's designer stuff. So understand, and there's plenty of books around through mainstream on copyright and anything special that you want to do. And there's some specific stuff the Indigenous Arts Board of the Australia Council did, and Terry Yankee has wonderful things on copyright. Make sure you look at that and understand that, because you can't think, that's very nice, I might just do that now, because you'll get caught out in the end.
And we've actually just had a question come through. If you wouldn't mind me asking you that question.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Just before we finish up, the question is, what advice would you share for a female aspiring and inspiring entrepreneurs? So what advice, in short, what advice would you share if we have some of our sisters and aunties out there who are aspiring, and to inspire them as entrepreneurs for females?
Okay. My advice would be, don't be afraid to take the steps, okay? Because, if you can run a household and look after kids, I can tell you, I couldn't do all that. And you can do almost anything. What I would advise is that you make sure that if you've got a partner that you want to talk to, you make sure that they're clear on it and they're happy for you to proceed. If they're not, that's your negotiation skills that you got to step up. There's plenty of different resources that you can look at to learn about it. There's Indigenous business networks for women, and Chrissy Ross, she runs wonderful stuff. And there's whole heaps around. Look, I'm talking to one of the ladies here who, you can get through. So don't be afraid to do it. Some of my sister's screen printing that she does, Bobette, she did on her kitchen table. And that's one of the things I pushed. And she's got, out of that same thing she did on her kitchen table, the screen printing, the fish they're over in France and different places like that. You can do it. You can start small, but be careful who you go into business with. I think that. And what I would recommend to anyone doing business is to do like a Cert 2 or Cert 3 course in business or accounting, because even white fellas, biggest mob of them, get ripped off by people that they think are friends, and you need to do that. And Batchelor Institute, they run heaps, all the TAFE centres around Australia. There's lots of Aboriginal and Koori ones that run it and do something like that. They're the really important things that I would say to these mob. But don't be afraid to make it. Like women, they do incredible things. That's how the Boost Juice started. This lady did it from home. A lot of the businesses start from home, where they're cooking or they're doing other things. So do something that you love and do it for home, whether you're an artist or whatever.
That is so deadly. Thank you. It's been a really inspiring talking to you, yarning with you today. And it's like your business. There's so many layers, and you've been in business for so long. But the words of wisdom come from spirit, come from your heart, but they're also practical as well. So not only sharing about your business, you're sharing about your business experiences, which is completely deadly. We thank you. Thank you so much.
Can I just say one last thing?
Of course.
Can I say one last thing? You know what? Especially in this COVID time, but any time, I've had incredible support from the Northern Territory government, not just me, all the businesses, with our business survival fund, with the wages and other help, and also to do work on my shop. So if you can write submissions, the Australian government with the JobKeeper has been, as a sole trader, I've managed to get it, and I've managed to get it for a couple of staff. And I think that, so Intergovernment's going to have, and most governments do, they have Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander grants that you can go to and apply for. Yes. And IBA, and I listened to that lady again, but already the local mob talked to me about that COVID policies they've got now in the grants. And so use those sort of things. There's Janine. I was saying to contact. So she's the lady who, Janine, you have to be on here next and talk about yourself too, and to a few of your other mob as well, okay?
That's fantastic. No, and we have been very blessed to have the support that we've had, this program and JobKeeper and all those things, which have kept us in business and kept us afloat. So thank you so much. It's been a real honour and a privilege for me talking to you today, and having the honour and of, taking you through this process and yarning with you. So thank you. So today we're listening to Lenore Dembski. Lenore is the owner, co-founder of Paperbark Woman. And you can find Lenore if you want to make contact through her website, www.paperbarkwoman.com.au. The program in the black is running for a 12-week period. We still have, 5 weeks left of the program. So if you're interested in getting more information, comment deadly below and our team will be in contact with you very soon. If you're watching this via YouTube, you can click on the link below and also you'll be able to access information. But let us finish where we started by acknowledging all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, our ancestors, our elders, our community and all of our family. And thank you for joining us today. And I know that you would have got just as much and if not more from our incredible yarning time. With the amazing Lenore Dembski here today, and it's been such an honour and a privilege. But thank you again, Lenore, for your time. Thank you all for listening in today, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.